Here is yeah, Daf Yud, page 10 in the Rif pages in the standard Vilna Shas edition of the Gemara. Um, bear with me. I need the page. Okay, there's a very interesting riff that deals the riff over here. What we're going to deal with today. That the riff is going to actually choose this place to talk about all the laws of mourning, because it's mentioned in the Gemara Brachos. So he's going to actually collate from a lot of Gemaras all over about the laws of mourning over the death of one of the seven relatives or spouse. And he's going to also give his opinion on what is biblical and what is only rabbinic. So it's a bit of a longer daf than usual, but without further ado, we're starting from the Mishnah on 9b. This is again talking about Rabbi Gamliel. He bathed on the first night after the passing of his wife. Amal Talmidov, so his students said to him, Loli Matan Rabbeinu Shavasachotz, didn't our rabbi teach us, that a person in mourning is not allowed to bathe, not allowed to wash. Amad Ani Kishar Kol Adam Istinis Ani, I am not like any other regular person. I am an istinis. I am finicky. I'm very sensitive, very sensitive. No, this is indeed halacha. You're not allowed to wash for pleasure, but if you're like really dirty, smelly, whatever, if you're in anguish, so of course you can with cold water, so you don't get any type of pleasure. You can get rid of the dirt or the stink. Okay, but again, as we say often in this forum, ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Right? Right, so the Gemara goes on to say, right. Right, my time. What's the reason? Why should he have not been allowed to bathe? Why should why should he have not been allowed to bathe? The first night after the day that she passed, right? Aninus de Raisa Bayomu, right? It being an onaim, the this terrible state of mourning that a person is in, immediately upon passing before the burial. That is by biblical law, but that's only on the day itself that the person passed. Right? As it says, V'achrisa kiyom mar, right? And after is like a bitter day, right? So this pasuk refers to the passing is a single bitter day. So the aninus, the biblical, the biblical status of being in mourning, which would include all these forms of self-affliction, right? It's only on the day itself. Rabbanu Bazu Balayla. So now, the rabbis, they're the ones who instituted it by night. That means already, so let's say Rabbi Gamliel's wife died during daylight hours, right? So the night already ushers in the new day, and that's only rabbinic. That's only rabbinic, right? So business lo gozura bonon, and now a person who's very sensitive, the rabbis did not enforce their rabbinic decrees to continue to conduct mourning. Okay, so what the Gemara was asking is why was it why I may have said this wrong. Let me recap. The Gemara wants to know why Rabbi Gamliel was right? So the reason why he was right in what he said is because the biblical mourning, which I guess for that there'll be no excuse, even if you're in tremendous displeasure, like you're filthy, So the first day is biblical. You got to wait out the day of death. The day of death is biblical, and one that discomfort would not provide any type of leniencies. You'd have to go through the whole thing of not, just like we also don't eat meat or drink wine. You have to abide by not washing or anything like that. Right? So then there will be no excuses. That's when it's biblical, right? But from the night afterwards, that was the case for Gamliel, it was the night after the day she passed. At that point, it's only rabbinic, and when it's only rabbinic, right? So the rabbis did not institute, their laws of practicing mourning on the people who are very sensitive. They gave leeway for the sensitive people that if they really need to, they may wash. Right, the Chazil mixes Ravusa the Kokasri Gablio the Kasarius Laila Durabodani Lo Kaimala Kava say. Right, I saw some great rabbis that that wrote as follows: that which Rabbi Gamliel holds that the aninos, right, the morning of the night following the day of the passing is only rabbinic. That is only Rabbi Gamliel's opinion, but we do not paskin that way. That is not the follow rule. Bakav dechsiv shivas yomim leilos bechal yomim. Uh, right? And because we find that the person has to do mourning for 7 days, and 7 days includes the nights. Mechazia Milsa Israel Lana Rabusa Zayim Amos the Raisa Ninhu, right? And now we see from these rabbis, it seems to me, these great ones who rule this way, they must think that the 7 days of mourning, the Shiva, that we do is biblical. The Gamil Milsa and actually learn it out from this week's parsha, right? But we just read yesterday. We are now broadcasting on Sunday. Yesterday we read Parshas Vayechi. Yosef made a mourning for his father 7 days. So they assume that's written in the Bible. So it must mean that biblically mourning is for 7 days. But that's not the case, says the Rif. Right? We say openly elsewhere in the Gemara. Hein hayom mikrus chatosim ani hayom asur ubalayla mutar avaladoris bein bayom bein balayla asur divrei Yehuda Rav Shur Omer ani eslayla einam divrei tar el divrei sofrim. Right, so Gemara says elsewhere that the right it brings the pasuk that there is by Aaron and his sons. Aaron, his son, two sons. None of Aviv got consumed on Rosh Chodesh Nisan on the 8th day of the practice of after they had did the Shiva Yemei Miluim, right, the 7 days of practice. Then on the 8th day, when he took up the Kahuna, none of Aviv, they brought in a foreign fire, and they were consumed. Right, so Aaron on this day did not eat, right? The kachim, because even though he had to pretend, because the Kohen Gadol could not, they were not allowed to practice any mourning, while they were on active duty of being Kohanim, Kohanim, Kohen Gadol, right? They were not able, they were on active duty, so they couldn't practice any mourning, but they still, because he was in mourning, he didn't eat the sacrifice, right? And he said, right on today the Jewish people sacrifice their sin offering today. So Chazal Darshan, he say today, Ani Ayom Asur Ubalabot, just today I may not eat from right, from the sacrifice, but at night I may, right? So Aaron was correct in the halacha that he should have not eaten the sacrifice, even though outwardly he couldn't practice mourning, but he still was a mourner, so he should not eat the sacrifice. But I'm today I'm praying, but at night I will be allowed to eat this. I would be allowed to eat the sacrifice, the night following the day. Well, Darth Vader also Rebuta said, that Aaron was speaking just for, his time, but for all generations, be it the day, be it the night that follows, there's a halacha of aninus, but that is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Shimon, but Rav Shimon says, aninus laila ena b'divrei Torah b'divrei sofrim. Rav Shimon, who we rule like, says, no, the morning of the night following the day of the passing is not biblical. It is only rabbinic. Right, and we say over there, the Gemara seemingly concludes over there, Ab Masai mitzonim alav kol sayom below leilo. Right, right. Until what time when are you owning him? The biblical level of mourning. It's that whole day, but not the night that follows the day. Rabbi Omer, now Rabbi Yudah Nasi says, calls manchal nick for tofetz leilonos. If he hasn't been buried by the nighttime, so you have to also be, conduct yourself as an onain at night also, if the deceased wasn't buried yet. So Amru Rabbanan Kamei Rava. So now the rabbis, said this over in front of Rava, the saying of Rabbi Va'oma, and Rava responded and explained. Midama Rebbe Yom Kavura Tofex Lelo Imo, right? Midrabanan Mechlad Yom Misa Tofex Lelo Midoraisa, right? Right. So, right. Since Rebbe said that, the day of burial, you have to, let's say if the deceased is buried, right? So you still have to act in mourning the night following, the burial, and that's rabbinic. That Rebbe admits, Rabbi Nasi admits is rabbinic, which we would infer that the other din of Rebbe, the Yom Mitzvah the day of death, right? Also, the night that follows the day of death, also, just like the day of death is biblical, the requirement of being in mourning is biblical. So also the night that follows the day of death, right? So, so if Rebbe says, that, the day of burial, the night following, you have to also act in mourning is rabbinic. That would imply that the day of death and the deceased has not been buried yet. So the night that follows the day of death, and again, the deceased is not buried yet, right? So that night that follows the day of death with the deceased yet unburied is also that night. Also, you are biblically required to act in mourning, right? So that's what Rav surmised. So Rebbe, the other side, the Raisa. Now, does Rebbe really hold that the morning of the night following the day of death, and again, it's talking that the deceased has not been buried. That that night is the Raisa. A person is biblically required to act in mourning then. But we learned in the Brisa, as per what we said before, and then was chatos v'ni hayom aser b'layla mutar lidbaras bein bayom bein b'layla aser. The reviewer Rabbi Omer Aninos Laila Eina Midivrei Torah Ela Midivrei Sofrim. We paraphrase that Gemara that we said before, by Aaron and his sons. And over here we have Rebbe, taking up the position of Reb Shimon, right, who argued on Reb Yehuda. The Reb Yehuda is the same, right, that says, that Aaron was saying, for this day, in this generation, I am prohibited by day, but I'll be out of mourning at night, right? But for all generations, both by day and the night that follows the day of death, Rebbe took up the position of Rebbe Shimon. Over here, it's brought down the name of Rebbe. That no, the morning of the night that follows the day of death is not biblical, it's only rabbinic. So we see it, Rebbe holds even the night following day of death, right, is only rabbinic. Lola Memalach, Anina, Slaila, Adam, Bidivray Tom, Darbanan, he, Vachacham, Asuchizik, Divrayim, Yoser, Mishal, Tyra. So now this is the proper way to understand Rebbe. Right, Rebbe really holds that the morning of the night that follows the day of death is rabbinic. Even that's rabbinic, right? We're not just talking about the night that follows the day of burial. Even the night that follows the day of death is only rabbinic. But Rebbe says to treat it with the same stringency as if it was biblical. That because the rabbis reinforced their decrees even more. They gave it even more weight than gave it greater stringency than biblical law. We also write in the Gemara Psachim, Daf Tzadi Aleph, Onein Tova Vochel Pischol Erev. Let's say a person, is right, is an Onein. He has someone who died on Erev Pesach. He has a relative, one of the 7 relatives, died on Erev Pesach. So so says the halacha is let him go to the mikvah, right? Assuming that that's his only problem, right? He doesn't need paraduma or anything like that. Let him go to the mikvah and eat his paschal offering at night. And you're not allowed to eat a korban, not allowed to eat a sacrifice if you're an onain, right? So it must be kasar nilsai derabana, the guy pesach lo aminu chacham tivrei b'makom kares. So from this halacha we see that the aninus, right, the morning practice at night following the day of passing is only rabbinic, right? And Chazal did not want to impose and demand that he act in mourning and refrain from eating his korban pesach, because to refrain from eating korban pesach when there isn't a real, for lack of a better word, excuse, like you're not genuinely, impure, not genuinely biblically in mourning, not genuine, or another exemption if you're uncircumcised, right? Or if you're far away. So if this guy has none of the real excuses, right? So to not eat from a korban pesach is a chi of chores. It's one of the few positive. It's one out of the 2 positive commandments that if you don't perform it, you deserve the punishment of chores. Right. So Chazal did not want to institute and force him to be a mourner, right, and thus abstain from eating his korban pesach, bring his korban, which is a chi of kares. Right. So they let it go in face of korban pesach, which is kares. Kedeshchem hanikul tanois yom rishon bilchud deraisa v'lelu dehu lel yom sheni lemisa lo tafes el midrabanan rebuta l'chudei uda savra yom misa tafes el midoraisa shamina deles hilchasa kava say the kaimon yachid v'rabim halacha karab. So says the Rif. He's made his case. I brought you a whole slew of people that show that the night following the day of death is only rabbinic. Only Rabbi Yehuda holds the day of death and the night that follows is biblical. But everyone else holds only the day of death is when biblically you're in mourning. The night from the night that ushers in the day 2 and onwards, it's all rabbinic. So you have to go, it's rebuted against everyone else. Yachid v'rabim malacha karabim, right? It's the one, the one of you, Rabbi Yehuda against everyone else, Rabbi Shimon, Rebbe, right? So halacha karava, we go rule like the many. Hilkach, and therefore, the Rif is stating his opinion. Yom Rishon Yom Amisa, who knew this would be the first day, which is the day of death, right? That is the one that is biblical, where there's biblical mourning, right? That you're mourning by biblical law. But from the night that ushers in the second day and onwards, the Rabbanan, all those added days are all rabbinic. And therefore, Rabbi Gamliel also, who held like Rebbe, right? Who held like Rebbe, I think was his grandson, right? And he held like Rebbe Shimon. So Gamliel, he holds like this majority opinion, that the morning of the night that follows the day of passing is only rabbinic. Vilsa Kava say, right? And that is the halacha. That is the halacha. And that's the way I do believe we paskin also. Everything past the first day is all rabbinic. But the rabbis were very stringent. Don't play around. It's very stringent, particularly when mourning a parent. Right? As we know, um, uh, Vilsa Kava say that halacha is like a Gamliel, which is like Rebbe, which is like Rebbe Shimon. Vani Shiva Yomai Gufa Alav Al Vayas Alavim Evel Shesem Asmechin Rabban El Hai Krasrin Rabban Dechsiv Bafach Techem Le'evel Machak Shiva Afa Vela Shiva. Right. So now, and also for your information, aside from the fact that the 7 days are rabbinic, the rabbis, of course, always look for a hint, or they want to lean their din on some pasuk, right? Don't think they leaned it on the pasuk that was quoted before, that the other rabbis use, from the pasuk in Parshas Vayechi, that Yosef made a 7 day mourning period for his father. They didn't, the rabbis didn't use that pasuk. They leaned it on a different pasuk in Navi that says, "I will turn." When we're bad, Hashem says, "I will turn your holidays into mourning." Now, just like the holidays, like Pesach and Sukkot are 7 days, so also the morning should be seven. He Atsi Ase de Rabin Vidochi Ase de Yachid Vishmadi Kachiva de Raisa Basar de Nafik Le Yoma Kama Du Yoma Misa. Right? You might ask a kasha like this. There's a Gemara that says in Moed Katan, right, that a Avel, right, someone who is in mourning, let's say, God forbid, it happened, a person loses a relative in the middle of Yom Tov. What's the halacha? He does not do any mourning. Does not even the first day. He does no mourning whatsoever, right? And right, and and the reason stated is because the chiyuv to be happy, or the obligation to be happy on Yom Tov, is obligatory on all the Jewish people. So it's a positive commandment to be happy, obligatory to all Jewish people. And he has a positive commandment to be in mourning that's only obligatory on him. So we say a positive command is only obligatory on the individual, should be pushed off in face of a positive command that's obligatory on all the Jewish people. So I say the Yochid versus I say the Rabbin. But you would infer from that, Gemara, that Gemara is assuming that his obligation to be in mourning is biblical, and it was just pushed off because the obligation to be happy on Yom Tov is even greater, because it is the positive commandment on everybody, because it's Yom Tov for everybody. It's his problem that he's in Avelos, so it's an Ased Yachid, his personal positive commandment, going in conflict with the positive commandment that's not applicable to the whole Jewish people. Let his positive commandment be pushed off in favor of the positive command that's obligatory on all the Jewish people. But you see, at least the Gemara seems to be saying there's a positive biblical commandment to be in mourning, right? Right. Rahilo kasha. No, that there there is no that it poses no that Gemara poses no difficulty. Midi dachi kamar. אבל אין לו גלוסו ברגל לדברי כל אפילו בנדמה יום ראשון תופס אס לילו מדורייסה. Mikari Asya say the Rabbin, Vidachi Asay the Yachid. Right? All that Gemara meant to say over there is that it is universally true, right? According to all opinions, right? Even according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that even let's say let's say the scenario over there was right. Obviously that the kasha should be a kasha. We're gonna have to set up the scenario over there, right? That let's say the person died on Erev Yom Tov, right? So the reason when Yom Tov comes in, he should not be in mourning, says the Gemara. Now you can read Gemara is that when Yom Tov comes in, which is already the night of the next day, should not be in mourning because it's his positive commandment, his personal positive responsibility against the universal one of all the Jewish people to be happy. All right, so you could read the Gemara that that's what it was talking about. So you see, to be in Aninus, right, to be in Avelos, past the day of death is also biblical, right? So the Rif says no, that yes, you can read the Gemara that way, right? That's the way to understand the Gemara, but the Gemara meant to say that this would be true according to Rabbi Yehuda, who we do not rule like, right? But even, what the Gemara meant to say is even according to Rabbi Yehuda, that holds that the night after the day of death is also biblically mandated, to be in mourning. That even Rabbi Yehuda would admit that even though he thinks that you're biblically obligated to be in mourning on the night that ushers in day two, but he would admit that if that night goes up against Yom Tov, right, you should not be in mourning because it is your personal positive commandment according to Rabbi Yehuda versus the positive commandment of being happy and out that's obligatory in all Klal Yisrael. Right, but that's what the Rif says. Even though you can read the Gemara that was talking about a person who was already in mourning before Yom Tov set in, and the only reason why he doesn't continue mourning is because his positive commandment, right, is overridden by the universal possibility of being happy. That it was talking according to Rabbi Yehuda, who we don't rule like. We don't even need that. Because we hold that any type of mourning past the first day is all rabbinic. So of course, the biblical obligation of being happy on Yom Tov overrides the rabbinic obligation. That which the Gemara was talking as if it was biblical, right? Was to say that even Rabbi Yehuda would admit, right, that he should not do any avelos on Yom Tov. Right. Right. Okay. I think of course, for any practical rulings, please consult your local Orthodox rabbi. Okay, we're up to the next Mishnah. Right. Ukvei sevi have the keeper of Tarchum and Tavila lo no real shokal Tarchuna. Varam en Tevi have the Kisharko. Varam Kasharya. When Rabbi Gamliel's slave Tevi, who was quite seems that even though he was a Evet Kanani, which are only quasi Jewish, he was a Canaanite slave. He seemed to have been an outstanding individual that was quite learned, and he picked up a lot of learning, as is well known from other places in Gemara. He was a very learned slave, but so now these slaves, they're not only quasi Jewish, they're chattel, they're obligated in some mitzvahs, right? So now, when Tevi died, he was in mourning, and people came in to console him, right? No, he wasn't in mourning like he didn't sit shiva, but he was distraught, and people came in and consoled him. And he said, so his students were perplexed. Didn't you tell us, you don't take consolation for slaves? It's like you don't say my condolences. It's like you don't take my condolences if a person like his car got smashed up. You don't say my condolences. It's not a it's not equally it's chattel. You don't take condolences on chattel, right? You rather, as we're going to learn in Gemara, if a person loses chattel, right, you don't say my condolences. If a person loses chattel, you'd say, may Hashem, make up your loss. Right? That's what you should say. So why he? But he took the condolences if he had lost a family member, right? They said, well, my Tevi was not like any other slave. He was kosher. He was a very upright human being, learned, upright. So he was exceptional. Tana Rabbanan. So this is what the Tosefta says. The Rabbanan learned. Avarim Hashach Seinom Dilim B'Shura Ve'enom Rimalem Lo Birkas Avev Lo Tarchuim Lem. Right. Right, the slaves and maid servants. We're talking about the ones that the ones that you bought, chattel, right? So we don't stand, in line to, honor them or to console the right, to console the owners, and we don't say any of the blessings that the mourners ought to make. We don't say, and there's no condolences offered to we don't offer a type of condolences that you would give someone who's in mourning. Right. There's also, as a matter of fact, the Tosefta reinforces it with a story. Elazar ben Azar lost his maidservant. Right. I guess she was really an excellent maidservant. Right. So his students went in to console him. When he saw them coming in to console him, he ran away. He went up to the attic. Right. So he went up after him. Right. The right. Right, Nicholas Pulin, Nicholas to Akharov, he went to a different room, and they went after Nicholas Latron. He went into the big ballroom, the big chamber. Nicholas to Akharov, they kept on following him everywhere. He was trying to avoid them, and they kept on following him. That I used to think that you could get even burnt by lukewarm water, and now I see even hot water doesn't burn you. That's a metaphor for saying I thought you guys could get a subtle hint, like as in get burnt by lukewarm water, meaning get a subtle hint. Right? Now I see, that you don't even get burnt by hot water. Even if I say something almost in your face, you still don't get it, right? Because that's like, the equivalent of not getting burnt by boiling hot water. I thought you guys pick up on subtleties. And metaphor for that is getting burnt even by lukewarm, and you figure it out, stay away, right? And then here you're not even getting burnt by boiling hot. Meaning, I even give it to you. I made it pretty plainly obvious and in your face, and you're still not getting it. I taught you guys. Right? I taught you already. The slaves and maidservants, you don't stand in a row, the way we do by Levaya, and there's not the blessing of the mourners and not the consolation of the mourners. But rather, like you tell a person, about his ox that died or his donkey that died. May Hashem, may Hashem fill your loss, right? you know, uh, you know, allow you to recoup your loss. Right. Right, so a person should say to, we should say to a person for his for having lost his slave or his maidservant, let Hashem, fulfill, make you whole again, fill your loss. Because and regarding slaves, we don't eulogize them, and we don't call them father so and so or mother so and so. As a matter of fact, to give the term father to anyone except your own father is only for three people: Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, and to make it call anyone a mother other than your own mother, right, is for four people in history: Sarah Imenu, Rivka Imenu, Rachel Imenu, and Leah Imenu. All right, we are about to finish the second chapter of Brachos and Rith. Also, about to cross the Shema, Rishon Koreh, Rishon Koreh, cross the Yom Yitol Hashem, Yochasa Katana Kama. Right, the Chassid, if he wants to read Shema on the first night, he may. Even though we said before, this is when he's marrying a virgin, and we said before he's exempt because he's a little bit scared, nervous about how it's going to go the first night. right? But he may, if he wants to. No, not anyone who wants to grab the name, may grab the name, meaning he views it as being haughty. What, you think you're better than, you're being haughty. You're saying, I could have kavana. I'll be able to hold intention, right? I'm not a loser like everybody else, basically. So he says you should not because it's haughtiness, right? Also Tanakh, but the halacha is like the Tanakama, right? That the anybody's allowed to be stringent upon himself. It's not a problem of appearing haughty, right? But according to Rishon Gamliel, it looks like appearing haughty. Right, but by the way, I said anyway, in our day and age, the halacha is mamish in reverse, like we spoke out, because in this day and age, we say no one has kavana all year long. So you might as well do it, say Shema on your wedding night, because it's not like you do a better job the rest of the year anyway. Okay, so Vice and our, just the halacha is flipped. Anyone who would not say Shema on his wedding night, he is being haughty. Say, well, tonight I won't be able, because of marrying a virgin, I won't be able to be intent on the words that I'm saying, as if all the other nights he is. So in this day and age, it's just the opposite, right? Because no one has, sadly, no one has kavana, proper kavana, full kavana year round. So the wedding night is no worse than the rest of the year. And if you don't say Shema on your wedding night, you're being haughty, as if to say, but the rest of the year I do have kavana, right? Okay. So that's why this age you always see, we do a Marav minion with the chassan at the wedding. Okay, we start now the third chapter of Brachos in Rith, right? And it's again, a lot of times in Mishnayos, we start dropping hints for what the next next chapter has in store within the last, Mishnah or two of the previous chapter, because it's going to have more about, procedure at times of mourning. Misha makes a fun of someone who has the dead body in front of him, right? It's talking about someone that he is obligated to bury, right? Pater Kriyashma Tefillin, he is exempt from reading Shema. He is exempt from davening. He is exempt from wearing tefillin, right? Right, and that's the halacha because and it makes no difference how long it takes, right? So long as because even though we said the biblical is only day one, but the rabbis exempted him from all mitzvahs, right? All prayers, all blessings, to keep his mind on his job to get the dead guy buried, right? You don't do any mitzvahs, no tefillin, no davening, nothing until you get the dead guy buried. This is talking about when you're the one responsible. Don't say mitzvahs now. We're talking about if you're not one of the people responsible for you're not one of the avalim that must take care of burying the dead. But let's say you're a pallbearer. No, say mitzvahs, you're a reserve pallbearer because sometimes dead bodies are heavy. And so they have like relief pallbearers on call, and there's also the replacement for the replacement because especially if it's a long journey, uh, you know, to carry the dead to the graveyard. They have a lot of these, carriers and relief carriers and relief of the relief because dead bodies are heavy and it's a long, it might be a long walk. And so there, mita, chakra mita. So we're talking about be it the ones that are right, in front of the bed or in back of the bed. All these people are there. The pallbearers, the replacement, the relief ones, the relief pallbearers, the relief of the relief ones, and they're all in front of the coffin, or behind the coffin. And so we talk about anyone who needs, who must be there, on, that, the coffin needs them, right? That, that it's, right? right? Anyone who is needed, right? Anyone who is needed is exempt from saying Shema. Anyone who's no longer needed, he did his duty, he's not going to have to pick up the coffin again, right? Right? They are obligated in Shema. But both, even the ones that are not necessarily needed, but they're just designated, they are both. Everyone's exempt from davening. Everyone's exempt from davening, but the ones that are no longer necessary, not necessary for the coffin, right? They will have to say Shema. Anyone is required for the coffin is exempted from Shema, but both the ones who are not needed for the coffin, those who are not needed from the coffin, right? Everyone is exempted from tefillah because the formal prayer is only rabbinic, whereas Shema is biblical. Right. Let's take a little running jump into the Gemara over here. No. Mutal of fun of in, shemutal fun of low. Right. Right. So now we infer from the Mishnah, right? Right. That only if the dead guy is right in front of you, right? So you're exempted from, the Kriya Shema Tefillah, right? But let's say if the dead body is not in front of you, so you're one of the relatives that has an obligation to bury, but you're not there. You're not. The coffin is not in front of you at this time, right? It would sound like you must daven. Because that's what it says. Your dead one is in front of you, implying that if the dead one is not in front of you, even though he's not buried yet, still you would have to you would have to daven, and you would have to wear tefillin, you would have to, etc. They would have to say Shema. For a minute, but I ask you a contract from a Mishnah. Misha beit ochel beit acher, en lo beit acher, ochel beit chavero, en lo beit chavero, also bechitza v'ochel, ואין לו לעשות, אין לו דבר לעשות מחיתה, מחזיר פרק ואוכל, ואין לו מסב ואוכל, ואין לו אוכל בצר, ואין לו שותה יין, אין לו מברך, ואין מזמנן, ואין מברך עליו, ואין מזמנן עליו, ופוטר מקריאת שמע ומתפילה ומנת תפילין ומקובץ עמוס בתורה. Right? If a person, he has a dead body in front of him. So, but he's hungry. He's got to eat. So eat somewhere else, in a different house. You don't have a different house to eat in. So, that you own, ask a friend to take you in and go eat there. All right. If you don't have, there's, you can't eat in front of the dead person. There is, first of all, it's like you're denigrating him, right? I'm living, you're dead. So, I mean, of course, there's also other issues, like the food droppings could cause mice to come. But Rashi brings the reason that Loic LaRoche, right? But also don't. One reason is why we leave a dead body under observation. The halachic reason, the down to earth reason, is to keep the mice away from the dead body. It shouldn't peck at it. Right. So, but actually, yeah, even if there are no mice, you're still not allowed to eat in front of the dead body, right? So you want to eat, go somewhere else. You don't own a different house, then go ask your friend to take you in. You have no friends that'll take you in. Construct a wall between you and the dead body and eat. Right. You have no way to make a wall between you and the dead body, right? So turn away. At least don't face him when you're eating, right? But regardless, even if by all of the above, even if you are in a different house, you mama change location, you're done. You cannot recline and eat, right? You're in mourning, and you don't, and you don't eat meat, and you don't drink wine, right? And you don't make any blessings, and you cannot participate in a zimur, right? And people don't make a bracha for you, and they don't count you in the zimun, and you're potter from krishma and tefillah and tefillin and all other positive commandments, right? According to but actually, and all other positive commandments, some take that out. Okay. B'Shabbos, but on the Shabbos, Mesa Vochel, Vochel Basar Zayin, Vorach Mizan, Vorach Love, Mizan Love. B'Chav Krishmo, Tfilo, B'Kol Mitzvahs, Amor Spat Torah. Right, 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 but on Shabbos, even though the dead is not buried yet, on Shabbos you don't practice any form of Avelus, right? And therefore on Shabbos you have to say Shema, and you do daven, and you are obligated in all the mitzvahs. So you can even participate in a zimun on Shabbos. And it's even if the dead is not buried yet, right? Right? Because Shabbos there's no morning. Right? So Gamliel says, well, once you're obligated in Shema and Tefillah and all the other mitzvahs, you're obligated in everything. So what's the difference between Gamliel and the Tanakama? Tashmish Mina, you have relations with your wife, right? Right now, what that means is like this. It doesn't mean hey, just have intercourse with your wife if you feel like it. It means that if she goes to the mikveh, right? It's the time that you're obligated to have. So we hold that the morning overrides being with your wife, even if she had gone to the mikveh, right? So because that which even on Shabbos you don't conduct yourself in mourning. That's only outwardly, but in things that are behind the scenes that no one sees, you do conduct mourning. So you're not with your wife on Shabbos. Gamliel holds once you're outwardly not in mourning, inwardly also, and you will honor your responsibilities to your wife. But don't even ask. At least we learned at least what we said before, you're eating in another house, right? And still in that other house, without the dead in front of you, in that other house that you went to eat, it's dead. You're plucked from exempt from Kriyashma, tefillah, tefillin, the works. So there's no difference, when before the dead guy's buried. There's no difference if you're actually in front of him or not in front of him. That's why our Mishnah Mishnah made it sound like that only if the dead is in front of you, you are exempt from Kriya Shema, Tefillah, and Tefillin. This other Mishnah that we just quoted from indicates that if you went to another house to eat, in that other house also. So you're in a different house. You're not in front of the dead guy. You still, are exempt from Kriya Shema, Tefillah, Tefillin. Same thing, right? Ravashi. So said Ravashi to reconcile this. Kozman shebutal of the cover, kabutal of dummy. No, what Chazal want to say is, so long as the dead is unburied, they gave it the same stringency as if it's right in front of you. Right. So you should know that Chazal wanted you never to forget about burying the dead, and make sure he gets buried. Right. So therefore, even if he's not literally in front of you, they gave it a din as if he's in front of you. Right. So you should never forget about him. Make sure to get him buried. Right. Right. Um, right. As part of Ekra Macy Milafonai, Avram, he's speaking to Ephron and Bnei Ches. He's negotiating for burial plots. So obviously, sorrow it's not from, but he says, and I will bury my dead from before me. From before me. So you see that so long as they're not buried, you give it, right, you give it the halacha as if the dead is in front of them. Right, as the Gemara goes on to explain, that possibly was, Aisha Kamei Have Ramya was Sarah in front of Avram at the time. Ella calls what would have covered right? But rather, any time that is incumbent upon you to bury that dead person, it is as if that dead person is perpetually in front of you. It is so stringent. It is as if the dead person is always in front of you. Right. So therefore, the Mishnah, just wanted to let you know the severity. That so long as the dead is unburied, and you're the one who has to bury the dead, It is as if the dead is perpetually in front of you. Okay, that's it for today. All right. We're going to start getting ahead of ourselves and also doing dapim in addition to this daily one. We're going to start doing dapim in riff of other, tractates, other masechtos, just to run ahead of ourselves. But of course, you listen to them in whatever order you want to. Listen, subscribe to the channel so you should get notifications. I'm saying there's going to be a lot more that we offer than the schedule that's officially going to be published. It's going to be a schedule for what's regular and consistent. There's going to be a lot of stuff that that's only not daily. That's done on the fly. That's done because I get the mood. Whatever the mood moves me, and if you want to be on top of it, subscribe to the channel so you always get notifications and you won't miss a thing from all the wonderful things that we offer on this channel. Have a great day.